This is Mongolian Mindset, and today we're going to be doing a personality analysis of Penn, Badgley. But before we get into that, we really want to talk about the people that are joining our group. It's been absolutely amazing. Like I say all the time, you are one, we are many. It's not just about myself, it's about everybody in there. I'm Mercer, I'm not Mongolian Mindset. Mongolian Mindset is everybody in the group. That means Thomas, Shelly, Sarah, Vincent, Nima, all of the people, Cynthia, all these people that contribute to us all getting better. It's all about us improving ourselves. This transcends typology. But, you know, what's the future for Mongolian Mindset? I think for the next 10 years we'll be grinding hard. But then after those 10 years, the world is ours. I want to probably come together and do something bigger than the Freemasons, you know, leave some type of impact that helps us, our kids, and everybody else. But let's get into this. You guys know our sworn enemy personality database that knows absolutely nothing unless everybody vote on anything, has them as an INFJ. We type people using Linda Barrens Temperament and interaction styles with core needs as well, core values, stuff like that. The clowns over there at Personality Database has them as an INFJ. I don't know if that's true or not. But I thought this was a perfect time since the Youth Season 4 just came out. So they got INFJ with NI in the first spot, FE in the second spot, TI in the third spot, SE in the fourth spot, and in the fifth spot, the personality. If you're not caught up with John Beebe's work, please do. It's 8-function model. It goes more in depth and will help you actually in life and others. So get on that. But in the opposing personality, that would be NE. And the the critic, it would be FI. In the trickster, it would be TE. And in the demon or angelic function, it would be SI. Okay, so yeah, let's get into this. What is his type? I love that show, You, by the way.
Hello. Feels like we just performed.
Oh my gosh, yes, we did. We were sitting in the chairs. But you guys were watching a show just now, and you know who this is, right? Yes. So
you know who they are?
Oh, wow, look at that, initiating. Woo, 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 woo. He's already initiating, look at that. Oh my God. That's the point for initiating there, okay? INFJs are not initiating, sorry, buddy.
So I'm Caroline Kepnes. I'm the author of the first two. Oh, weird. And we have Penn Badgley here, who is your Joe, and Sarah Gamble, who makes the show for you. And yay, we're all together to talk about you. I mean, it's the most fun of it, the pronoun of it.
Yeah, it really is.
So it's blown up. I mean, it blew up last year, but I don't know about you. I feel like it's blown up from blowing up.
It has some, yeah.
The memes, the conversations,
Initiating again.
you go to the dry cleaner, you wind up talking about Joe kind of thing.
Yeah.
So what's that been like to feel a part of the zeitgeist for both of you in that way?
I don't know. I mean, are we a part? I feel like you might be more of a part of it. You two might be more of a part of it because I'm just kind of like the vessel through which it happens. I'm like the mask on it.
But your face is in all.
But then I am.
Okay, so that's a little bit abstract there. Okay. Go back. Seems a little abstract there.
Part of it because I'm just kind of like the vessel through which it happens. I'm like the mask on it.
But your face is in all.
But then I am the meme.
Yeah, and you're obviously good at your job.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's true. It's like I'm doing something, but I still don't really know how it feels. So yeah, it's interesting. It's definitely interesting now of all times.
I don't know how it feels. Ooh. TIFE.
Being, what is it, January 8th, 2020?
That's it.
Yeah, that's a really interesting time to be in the meme of things.
He's coming off informative too. Like, what does that even mean, dude? Come on. So I put a point down for informative.
Yes, Because everything else is so calm
Yeah.
and peaceful,
Yeah, so
stable.
So I'm not sure how it feels. I think but it's interesting.
It is.
There's something this show's doing that we,
People seem to be watching it. Like, I went to a cafe the other day, and the baristas were all talking about it. So I was like, what show? Like, it's called You. It's crazy.
Oh, right,
Tell
and they
me
have
about it. I haven't seen it.
So then do you tell them after, or do you, no?
No.
Wow, so you're having this totally other kind
Yeah, he's initiating.
of, you're able
More
to have
anonymous
this other
experience.
kind yeah, because like for me,
You
it's
put
just-
the hat on. Maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm more recognizable now if I try to go incognito, which I don't really.
Now you can't wear a blue hat.
Yeah.
Like, that's over for you.
I'll try red.
Yes. But the Fagawi hat.
Why did somebody groan? Is there something about a red?
Yeah, look at him initiating, dude. It looks like we're gonna be eliminating all of the extroverted types here.
The Fagawi
I mean, we're gonna be eliminating
yeah.
all of the introverted types here because he's clearly initiating. He's changing topics here and there too.
Yeah. You're gonna have to get
Way over my head.
You're gonna have to get a yellow hat, like Curious George's handler, right? The man in the yellow hat. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So let's talk about season 1. We were here in New York shooting, and everything was great, and it was great. What was it like to do that company move on every level to Los Angeles for season 2?
I mean, I live in Los Angeles, so,
Yeah, so
it was
it
less
was
than
company.
it was.
Initiated again. Okay, he's done. He's extroverted. Okay. ISTP, ISTJ, INTJ, INFJ are eliminated. ISFP, INFP, INTP, and ISFJ are eliminated. He's extroverted. Okay, he's done there. So we're looking at ESTJ, ESTP, ENTJ, ENFJ, or ISTJ. ESFJ, ESFP, ENTP, and enfp. That's what we're looking at here. Okay, it seems to be coming off informative too, so it's looking like a starter type or get things going, whatever you want to call it.
More moving for me in season 1.
But for you, it's like a mental, like, okay, now everything that I've worked on is
Everything.
in this, yeah.
You start over. It's like you're making a whole new show, a season 1 show in season 2. You don't get any of the benefit of knowing the crew, having the same people. So it was stressful in that way, but.
And then when he murders people, you lose actors. Which I'm like, when you write fiction, like, there are no actors. You're not killing people.
You do everything.
Problem.
In your
He's initiating again. See, wow, he's really initiating.
in the way that you create, you really do. I mean, as far as I'm aware, it seems like you do everything except for distribute the book.
Yes, but but exactly, there aren't real people. That are,
It was interesting for me because
He keeps interrupting her like crazy.
never have I been a part of a show before where I am the only person who's done the whole thing, but like not one person on set like had done it before, and we had a bar to meet now.
Yeah.
You know, we had to make
We had a standard to meet now.
make it at least hopefully as good, which I don't know. I mean, I felt some pressure at the same time. It was exciting. It was great to have this cast this year. I think there was something really particular about the way they struck a balance and helped bring to life the world that Joe inhabits so uniquely, you know, so therefore puts me in like this unique position. The way that James and Victoria particularly, they play Love and 40. The way they're awesome.
Talking about them, that's FE. They're awesome. Okay, let's keep going.
I'm told they deserve better.
Well, yeah.
40 anyway.
Yeah, 40. So it was actually also kind of nice. I mean, I don't know, playing this guy is very isolating in some way, but it also it makes the process for me as an actor very technical, where I feel like, I mean, Greg, co-creator of the series, Greg Berlanti, Yeah. He also has like 19 other shows on television. He's like, actually. He said something about the nature of the construct of the show and the character Joe. He was like, I feel like we could put you in Hawaii in this thing. This thing will like work anywhere with Joeing.
Yeah, Joeing.
And I guess we'll probably test that. I don't know.
Hawaii sounds good, actually.
Yeah, I mean, for
It
5
is
months.
an interesting thing because you and I have both worked on shows that are more ensembles. And there are particular issues with not to get too in the weeds on producing, but
So
there are things.
she looks like an SE user. She's talking like an SE user. Look at how he's talking. He's talking from a first person perspective. So it's more SINE. Okay. But yeah.
Things about
He's
scheduling
coming off very informative. I'm almost ready to call him informative.
ensembles and about dealing with ensembles, and like it really was an issue this season where we were like, God, Penn has been in every scene for 3 months. Yeah. We should really try to give him a day off. And people would suggest a scene and be like, no, we just killed that person. Like we can't do a scene with her right now. It was hard, you know, I think in terms of making the show, I think just it's a marathon for you from the first frame to the last. And because we keep doing this, hitting this hard reset each season, Joe being Joe, moving around, killing the people that you might want to see a scene with. And, you know, that's really the thing, is developing characters that we can kind of go away with for long enough for you to like put your feet up for 5 minutes.
Yeah, well, but I mean, part of that, I think it has to do with the way that you've created this, because in the book, I know that I've been curious what you've thought of the show, and I'm not gonna like ask you to say something carte blanche that like you don't want other people to know. And I know that you like it. It's not that. It's like it's like, well,
I think I missed something there.
Yes.
That's really the thing, is developing characters that we can kind of go away with for long enough for you to like put your feet up for 5 minutes.
Yeah, well, but I mean, part of that, I think it has to do with the way that you've created this, because in the book, I know that I've been curious what you've thought of the show, and I'm not gonna like ask you to say something carte blanche that like you don't want other people to know. And I know that you like it. It's not that. It's like it's.
I don't want to do something because some don't want you to know.
Like, well, I don't know. I'm gonna assume.
Yes. I too am an addict. Yes.
I've been really interested in like the ways that the television show has to be different from a book. It just can't be the same.
They're different mediums, and that's what's so exciting. Like those last 3 episodes where you can't stop watching. Like I'm curious about that process for all of you, like how conscious you are of that drive and the momentum intensifying to that extent. This, for me, like it's this cocktail, and obviously like everyone is addicted who watches it. That's the word I keep hearing from people, that you just can't stop. Like there is no sleep.
So she just said a TE statement.
No food. So how aware, when you're working,
Initiating again.
Are you like, oh, this is one of those scenes that like this is going to make people stay? Like, do you think about these things? Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I ever think about. I want to make them stay. But I think even when you're writing a script, I think of it as, you know, you have like a little bit of time at the beginning to set atmosphere.
She's talking about the system.
But things should really pick up speed and feel more and more intense, to the point where when I'm writing, I make sure the sentences are short by the end, because I'm hoping people are so engaged with the cliffhanger of it all that they're skipping that stuff. They're just going to the dialogue. So as we go towards the end of the season, we want to feel like we're being squeezed into like a tighter and tighter little box. As I said that, I realized it was a bit of
Yes.
yeah. And an interesting thing about doing this with your books is that, you know, we talk from the beginning, you and I, about how we're gonna do this, it's gonna be the same. We're doing Amy, but we're not
We're gonna do this,
Amy,
we're gonna
but
do
we're
that.
kind of
That's SE for her. She's probably NTJ, most likely NTJ.
doing it. But these moments when we diverge and then we can loop back and hit something from the book, like meet your book again later, like when she says her name is Amy Adam. That really excites everybody in the writer's room.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and the wedding, I remember reading that and then watching it when there's the couple that just got married and he's paying them to kiss. I'm like, oh, hi guys.
Like the greatest hits kind of conversation at the beginning of the season, where we invite the writers to everybody say, what's your favorite scene from this book? Or what scene do you want to write? In fact, I invite them to just write a random scene before we start breaking the season. And the wedding, 40 paying to kiss the bride stuck out for a lot of people.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And it is something I want to talk about because for me, like with reading, with books in general, like you're in the books, you're completely in Joe's head. There is no escape. And you're making a show where you have the challenge of like so many things. I remember first season, I was like, in some ways as the author, I'm forced to confront what he actually did. Because he rationalizes things like, oh, so he is allergic to peanuts, like in peanuts. Oh. I am not a moderator. Like, anyhow, but you're in this position where it's a visual medium, and you have to show him being Joe and being Joe. Like in the great ways, like he can write a love letter, but also a body and a meat. Yeah.
Well, that's what I think, like, I guess what I was thinking about before is like, you know, we have not brought the exact Joe on the page to life on screen because of the differences in the medium, they have to differ somehow. Like, namely, is these editions of the young people, like the particularly young people, like the Paco of it all, you know? Paco in the book would make no sense. You don't need Paco because you're
Paco in the book would make no sense. That's T-I-F-E. Would make no sense. Logical framework. Would make no sense.
Joe is
talking to his typewriters.
Yeah, he's informative. He's informative. Okay, so we're down to ESFJ, ESFP, ENTP, and ENFP. Okay, and what we're noticing that we're getting more TI statements from him. So we're probably gonna be eliminating ENFP and ESFP. Also, he's coming off like an SINE user, so that's looking like, he's either ESFJ or ENTP. So that's what we'll be looking at.
And he's a bit more of a, I don't know, I mean, the way that you're able to live inside of the mind of the narrator in a book is just literally impossible in another medium. So there, I mean, this is something that we talked about in the beginning a lot, like how we have to know where to make him just a little bit more like,
informative.
I don't know, I'm trying to think, what's the word, like likable or like soft and fluffy. There's something
like
about
relatable. I mean, to me, the fear factor in the show is like, oh, I mean, I'd
like,
be happy.
He's not specific, concise, and to the point.
I met you. If I'm in that show and you're, buying me a cell phone and
right. So
knowing
it's like
things
initiated.
And I guess this like delicate balance that we were all wondering before it came out was like, okay, we know we've made something well here, but like, where's that balance between likability and, I don't just want to say unlikability, but that thing, it's like, and that's where I come in, and I have had this moral conflict the entire time that I'm totally transparent about, and I'm just like, I don't ever know how to exactly strike that balance, and constantly terrified that it's not right. But then
I'm constantly terrified that he's an SINE user.
Happens, and it is apparently. It's
works.
Really remarkable.
Yeah, like episode for episode. Do you look at the episode as a whole and think, okay, where do we end? Are we rooting for him at the end, or does that? Yeah.
No, I mean, I don't think we're.
Anyway, see ya.
No, but we're making a show, like, I like writing, I think you're the same. I like writing about
She's talking about what she likes to do, so TFI, but we think she's entj for sure.
Stuff that scares me. And if somebody came at me like the kind of guy Michael Shannon plays in movies, because he plays people to be a bit creepy sometimes, if I may say. I'm sure he's very lovely in life.
Yes.
And could play other, but he's cast in that way. He's a villain when you see him. Well, that guy I know to cross the street. When somebody comes up to me and wants to engage with me about Hemingway, well, I want to engage about Hemingway. And so that's much more frightening to me. The fact that you can never really know someone, and someone can present as so interesting and attractive, and you don't really know what's going on in their head. I mean, I think that's what's so addictive about the books, and that's what we're trying to capture. The horror movie of it all is that you're, kind of trustable seeming,
Yes,
That's why
because
women keep trusting you.
when you casually insert, like,
I'm leaning probably intj on that woman.
when he gets to the hotel room and realizes, like, I think that's 8 or 9. Okay, spoiler alert, yeah.
Everybody's.
Have you guys seen the
seen
show?
it.
Yeah.
I mean, they're like, yeah.
There's 2 people in the front row, and we're just fucking up their whole experience.
Pragmatic, SE on her. Yeah, she's looking like an intj there.
Shouldn't be here.
I hear it's still fine. Sorry, you were saying the hotel?
Yeah, like when there are those moments of like when you remind the audience, like he's like, oh, there are plenty of ways to kill people here. I love that like kind of casual. So I want to hear about the voiceover sessions because those, like you said a few weeks ago, you're just so like creepily in a nice way, wonderful. And we'll talk about the different ideas of creepiness in a minute. But what's it like when you're doing the voiceover? What's that process like? And
I mean,
for both of you, yeah.
Well, what's amazing is that you guys have given me basically free. I go in there without anybody directing me. I'm in there.
Freedom, pragmatic. Pragmatic people like freedom. Why? Because it gives them the opportunity to be effective. Okay? They don't like to be given roles or whatever. The more freedom they get, the happier they're going to be.
Alone, and I just do it a million ways.
Him being pragmatic would make him an ENTP look like.
And they're always like, got it. I was like, okay.
Well, you found something so
See, he's coming from a
on.
first-person perspective when he talks. He's not going like what other people are doing or whatnot, like that, like she is doing. That's not NE.
Where I didn't know if it was going to work. I was worried. I've heard some bad. My husband used to be a voiceover director, so I've heard some really fucking bad voiceover in my life.
Wow.
I heard some really fucking bad. Yeah, she's brag.
Well, it's fine, no pressure. If it's bad, the show won't work.
Yeah.
But but you, the thing that I felt from the very first time, and you record voiceover sometimes before you do the scenes, so frequently.
See how she keeps
right?
you using him as a totem. And you did this, you, SE.
Oh.
Yes.
So then do you play it while you're
No, I don't. No, I'm not that.
Yeah, but you.
That would be really. That
Somebody's
would be
reading it
really,
on.
Somebody's reading
yeah.
it, but I also can't always remember what I've done. It's more intuitive than it is.
A lot of murder to keep track of. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't keep track of that. That's a lot. It's a lot.
Yes, it is.
You're thinking about it.
Mm-hmm. But to me, it was so clear from the very beginning that the reason it was going to work is because I heard you talking just to me. It really
I heard you talking just to me. She's SE.
feels like you strike this tone where you're speaking very intimately to one person. So it captured for me that experience of being inside somebody's head where you're not performing for a big audience. You know, we wanted it to be different.
Yeah.
Like Mr. Robot is another show that has really interesting voiceover, but he's a bit speaking to a chorus who turns out to be all of us, I think. I haven't seen the latest.
It's
season,
the
but that's what I think it
intimacy
is.
that works. Do you know what TikTok is?
I don't know what
Okay,
TikTok is. Can you please explain to me what
So
TikTok is?
TikTok is. Well, it's for younger. Yeah.
I will
But
hit
I
the
noticed
wall.
that, like, my friend's daughter sent me. There are people making videos where they're taking Joe's voiceover and talking.
That's right.
along
It
with
actually, yeah.
And I'm like, it's that intimacy that it's inspiring that, and that's what's captured so well. And it's like, ultimately, if you feel close to someone, then you like them.
Yes.
That kind of overrides what they're doing. So yeah, can we like talk a little about why the I love Joe of it? Because I have wonderful readers, some of who are here, who've been saying I love Joe since 2014. But what's it like for both of you on a daily basis, on a creative basis, like to try and understand that love?
I am so much less conflicted about it, I think, than you are. But I think it's because
But it's natural.
I'm so
She's direct, specific, concise, and to the point.
zen because you have to
That's
be
the only reason.
right.
Yeah.
I think I am so fascinated by the fact that what he does wins us over. And part of why I like him so much, so frequently, is because he's telling us the truth in his voiceover. In this way of like, he's being polite in the scene and then he's thinking what he's thinking about Ethan or whoever. And I was like, I just had that really mean thought too. So I feel like I'm just like him. I enjoy that feeling of being won over and then having the rug pulled out from under me. So,
Me too.
Yeah.
You not so much.
Well, I think I might be a little different from that. But I mean,
You see how she was talking? She was bringing in people when she was talking and all that. Very SE. Like he's very SINE.
because it's not that how to say, like it's not that I don't like him because I don't. I'm actually not exactly sure how to explain it, but I do, like, it's also not hard to be him, I think. It's like, it's because all I do is I just believe what he's saying and doing. And you're right, there are a lot of times where what he's thinking and saying he has integrity. He's really sympathetic. He's extremely, he's investigative. He follows through. Like,
Yeah, see, there, yeah.
I mean, there's so much about him when I'm playing him. The part of me that doesn't like him is just the part of me that's like, well, shit, we just did that, and that was really enjoyable. Now we have to, like, kill her. And,
Right, yeah.
and so it's me. I know I've done a decent job of.
He's just first person. Okay, so he's an SIN user. ESFP's eliminated. Like, that's done.
Of kind of like participating in this conversation around it and being very, very moralistic, but at the same time, it's like it's just my visceral experience as a person.
So he's talking about his own experience and stuff. That's SI.
Playing him and being able to enjoy it a lot of the time, and then when it's ugly, it's really ugly. So it's like, oh God, I have to do that today. Like, oh man, it's intense. I remember, like, it was 6:30 in the morning on a Monday, and I was inside this like faux sex dungeon, like applying fake blood to myself, and I just, I was sort of like
talking about his SI experience.
You do have a really singular job, because when we're just like having coffee and talking about how the show is in its subversive, cheeky way burning down the patriarchy, we're on the same page about it. But then when you're patriarchy in the center of that, when you're like the dude,
totally.
That's uncomfortable, I think, at times.
Yeah.
Are there things that you're surprised that you don't talk about more regarding the show, like topics that you thought would come up going into this season, or anything that you've been like, oh, I thought I'd be talking about that, or that you're surprised that people...
Do you mean us? Like, actually...
Like in your lives in the past couple weeks, or in...
What's funny is that I think that we're developing... She writes the scripts and I act them, it's a pretty intuitive, creative relationship. And we often talk
creative
about things
relationship
at the very beginning and the very end, and then throughout it's just kind of like you get your you just got to. It's television shooting is a crazy schedule. It's a crazy. You're shooting like often 14 to 16 hours a day, 5 to sometimes 6 days a week, depending on if there's press as well. And then you do this for 5 to 6 months at a time, and it's grueling. And then in the nature of this role, it's like. It's
progression.
A lot. So really, we talk before and after, and then there might be one point in the season where I'm like, I don't understand this one bit. Can you just help me here? And then,
not understanding TIFE user. So ENFP is also eliminated. We're down to ESFJ and ENTP. Okay, so we're down to.
What happened this season? That only happened in the first one, I think.
I feel like we had one conversation that was like, so how self-aware could Joe possibly become this season?
Yeah.
But it is this thing where, because frequently what you're playing in the scene is not the whole story we're telling, you are in the middle of something where it's impossible from the perspective of your character, it's impossible to see the whole story, or even to know what the point of the scene is.
Yeah.
And I think, I am just always grateful that you're so game when you come into a scene, even if you just to come in and try it out and see what happens. That I think that there's a level of trust that hopefully has been cultivated by the fact that everyone making the show is on the same page about why we're making the show. I mean, we're making something fun, entertaining, where you're like, can you fucking believe they did that thing in episode 6? But fundamentally,
entj.
Our point of view about Joe and what he does and why we're telling the story to begin with, I think hasn't changed. Yeah. And if we all have that same North Star, then it's like, well, let's just try this in the scene. We'll put it together with the voiceover. We'll see what's the worst thing that could happen, right? But it doesn't always feel like that. And I mean, I'm grateful. I never presume there's going to be a functional relationship in the middle of the madness of TV. So this show has been such a treat to me.
It has been. It's actually a great set to work on. Like,
and Victoria, like, how did you know that she was the one? Who could?
I mean, that's the genius of Greg Berlanti. He texted me one night and he's like, have you seen that show Hill House? Yeah, he was like, I think that's love. And we saw so many great actors for that role, but to his credit, he was right. He got it in one. I mean, there's a reason he has the 22
Has the touch.
shows. Yeah, I mean, he said that about you too. So.
Yeah, but he seems to know when people are that person.
Yeah, because you feel that in all the for all the characters. I don't know, just.
Can I tell you something about her?
Yes, you
Because it's a high bar. Elizabeth Lale is a tremendous actor. She did such an amazing job.
Hey, Beck. R.I.P.
Yes.
Beck,
Yeah,
y'all.
she's our.
I know. Yeah.
She deserves better.
Yes.
We're doing this for her.
But the whole point of season 1, in a certain way, was like let's have the audience fall in love with Beck through Joe's eyes. And so, what a mountain to climb to bring an actor in like you're the next girl, right?
Yes.
And yeah, we're gonna try and do some stuff for you, but you're the next girl. So that scene in the first episode that you just saw, where she makes him the chicken, and then she tells him about himself, and then she tells him about the tragedy of her life.
Yeah, I'm good with calling her INTJ. She's going through the progression again.
We did 2 takes that day. Remember? There was only time for 2 takes.
Do you remember, S.E.?
I was in post with Greg, and we got to that part where we were going to look at the coverage.
You see how she's
and the
looping in
editor was
other
like,
people
just
with
so
her
you know,
stories?
There's only 2 takes.
S.E.
We were just running behind that day.
Does Joe do that?
And
No, he doesn't.
when I
S.I.
saw what she had done the very first time it came out of her
And
mouth,
I saw
and
what
then
she
the
had
beautiful
done. Shut
variation the
up.
next time, and then we moved on. I was so relieved.
Go away,
She just
INTJ.
has such an immense toolbox.
She's really talented.
Yeah,
Yes.
She's very talented.
she is.
She takes it very seriously. Like, she's such an artist about it. Her parents they come from the avant-garde and dressed like me right now, I suppose. And I was just, it was not. I've been working in television for a very long time, for 20 years, over 20 years, professionally, like not even auditioning. Like,
Right. So did you feel that chemistry thing right away?
Well, what I could really appreciate was somebody who was really interested in the art of it, and that's it's like, again, sometimes you just have to do the work. You never you're not going to be 100% at all times. You're not going to be dewy-eyed and just in awe of the incredible opportunity that it is, but she was like fresh out of art school. And took it very seriously, and I was like, all right, cool.
I love that, actually. Yeah, and it's true that what we do, it can be a grind. We never
So
have enough
much.
time, we never have enough money, but I've been working in TV almost as long as you, I think 15 years.
Let me try and make myself special, FI child.
Never done a show cynically. I kind of made this little pact with myself that it could be a job, there could be a hard day, there could be a day that is done very technically, but if I feel like I'm approaching the job from a cynical place, then it's time to figure out something else to do. Because at the core of it, we get to make art and craft together. But like some percentage of the pie is actually art. It's a pretty cool job,
It is.
So,
Yeah.
this is just us having a little gratitude circle while
you
you're
know.
on.
Sometimes,
Well, thanks guys for being here.
sometimes you get to be ahead of it too. Like you added the story last year, the Me Too story, what we call it now, what we wouldn't have when you were writing it.
Right.
So that experience of kind of telling a Me Too story, then having Me Too happen, going into season 2, did that impact your thought about the storytelling and the adaptation of it, of the okay, what topics do I want to touch on? Basically, did you have a feeling of this is where the culture is going and this is what I want to get on now?
Well, the culture, it's interesting because you wrote the book before this, the hashtag Me Too movement happened. We're just 2 women who want to talk about this stuff.
Yes.
And a huge reason I wanted to do the show was because this vehicle is a way
We're gonna get
to
now
talk about this
Strag,
in a different way than
I
I've seen before, where we can come at it less from, victim stories, although that's a part of it, but also what does this stuff do to men? What messages are we feeding our little boys? And what's the worst case scenario of that?
What are the
Yes, 'cause
consequences?
that's my thing. We all have it. When she's reading that letter, when she gets the letter in her locker, and it's your voiceover, and I'm like, I love him. It's such a nice moment of no one's laughing. Yeah. That's later in but it's it's part of the culture, and it's responding to it. And how do you separate your thoughts from the storytelling and the art of it?
Well, a writer's room is basically like a think tank, and then that extends a little bit into the rehearsal process, I think, on set. when we prep, we try to put as much of this in the brain of the director as possible, and then you have that conversation usually with her, but and whichever writer is on set. But I understood what this was going to be really early, because the writer's room in the first season was 4 women and 2 men. And the women had a lot to say from the beginning about this college professor who hit on me, and that boyfriend who ended up being psychotic. And one of the 2 gentlemen in the room said, I want to just bring into the conversation this sort of white knight idea that has been torturing me since I was a little kid. And that was the moment when I really understood we weren't going to have a one-sided conversation. It's too easy, really, to just say, well, dudes are bad or something. That's ridiculous. That's half of all of us. And it's interesting because Joe's pretty bad.
Well, but he judges and wants good for everyone.
Well, that part I don't even think of as
like you said that book Joe really. And Shoujo are cousins. I'm like, that is so true. We're like, they're different, but at heart, they're both like wanting everyone to be the best they can be. They do want happiness for everyone.
Well, the part where he's thoughtful and bookish
and she's annoying me.
Is judging your jacket or all of that stuff. I don't think of that as particularly gendered. I think of that as just the...
Yeah, did everyone watch season 2 already? I'm assuming over the holiday break. Have you guys watched the full thing?
Yeah, of course. Well, she's probably had to see it.
I'm catching up now. Don't spoil me.
Damn, she's here again.
But congrats too on season 2. I know you guys knew you were getting a season 2, but the show moved over to Netflix. So before we get into all, the plot and all that of season 2, I want to know how you felt.
And look at him engaged in all black. He loves all black. ENTPs love all black. That's funny. They love all black. Steve Jobs, they love all black.
Went to Netflix and how it's kind of changed the dynamic of making it that bingeable program.
I swear, if I had to think about what my brother is wearing, he's probably wearing an all black Adidas tracksuit because he wants to be comfortable, and it's all black. It's all black.
Which I think it caters to the story very well.
Well, nowadays, most shows eventually go to a streaming service like Netflix, so we kind of had that in mind while we were making it for commercial television. And Netflix were our partners in season 1 on Lifetime, but a little more in the background, and so there was...
Young people would be watching it that way. I think what was probably the surprise was that it was, with the numbers that it came in with, that they then later revealed, which, Netflix doesn't often do. They don't need to. They can do what they want.
They can do what they want. That's an SINE statement. They can do what they want.
It can.
But when they can, they're
they'll
like
let
43
us know
million.
They're taking over the world. Yeah.
43 million. Just so you know, entire season. That was the number.
High completion rate.
Yes.
Which I think it's like back up there already because it's, I hear, very top on the streamable list right now.
It
does seem, yeah.
So coming back and playing Joe again.
For all the critics that say, well, you only do one interview. Look at him; he's initiating this one too. The patterns are always there. Patterns are always there.
Back into the mindset of this sociopathic, psycho killer that we all love.
Yeah, that we all love. Being American helps, I guess. No.
It's true, though. It's sad.
The last thing I'll say about that today during the 2:00 hour. Let's see. I did, to be honest, just to clarify, I never did a lot of clinical research about what it really takes to put a person here, because I felt like while it's really helpful for those who want to predict the behavior of those and bring them to
what other people want, that's SENI again.
Those people are actually painfully unaware of what has led them to that place. It's the pain, of trauma continuing its cycles through generations.
Okay, talking about cycles, that's abstract, create through generations. So yeah, looking like he's an ENTP.
This doesn't just happen arbitrarily to people. It's like it comes from something that happens to them too.
He's talking about the progression, move from one sequence to the next.
Miseducation they receive. So I think for me it was just always very intuitive. It was just really like understanding that, that to him there's some purpose, and to him he believes in what he's doing somehow because he's doing it. And that actually, because what they're doing, what the creators are doing, what the writers are doing, what the directors do, what everybody other than the actor does is actually
Get it out.
creating it, and then all I do is just do it. And then when I do it and believe it, you're like, well, that's really crazy, man. But all I'm doing is just believing it, I think. So in a way, the job is simple, not necessarily easy, but it's simple.
And it's a cool role to play. I mean, it
You
gives
see how
you
it took him to get that out? Like, very specific and concise. He's not specific, concise to the point. He's informative. He's vague, wordy, extra descriptive, extra words, all that. In a bag of chips. Yeah. We're going to go maybe like 2 more minutes. Look at that damn INTJ there. God damn it, INTJ.
so much to work with, and you get to have fun, I'm sure. On set.
It is actually
Be
strangely very
adventurous.
fun sometimes, yeah.
Just some of your facial expressions, I'm like, he must have loved doing this.
You know what's weird? So many people talk about my facial expressions
Initiating.
as though I'm not an actor. Like, it's like, dude,
He's like, people don't understand. That's a T.I. statement there. There you go. Like, come on, man. Use your common sense. I'm an actor, obviously.
every actor does this.
Okay, but in their defense,
They're like, you've never been perceived as an actor before.
no, not that, just the opposite. Usually actors have lines.
Right, and I don't,
frequently
yeah.
you just have to register a long series of thoughts with no lines to speak in a scene, and then you do voiceover later.
That's true.
So
She
I
taught
feel
a
like
system.
it's worth complimenting. Don't you guys think it's worth
Thank you.
complimenting?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
And the voiceover work is...
Don't you guys
Yeah,
think?
which is this whole
I
other
see.
thing, which is actually very fun
T.I.
and very extremely performative. Like this, I'm really in my body in a different way. But when I'm Joe, often I just kind of like stand, you know, and just look
That
at
just
things.
freaked me out at the time. But
He is Joe. Do you do the voiceover? Do you get to watch snippets of the scenes that you shot?
You know,
You do the voiceover?
when I'm punching in, like when Sarah has edited together the first, I don't know exactly how it happens. So you can punch in with me here if I get something wrong. But I think the way that it happens is that like
Punch
after
in
the
if I get
first
something
cut,
wrong. I want to be correct. T.I.
and she's getting her fingers into the cut and doing all that stuff. That sounded a little.
is that correct?
Yeah, I mean,
Very
it's-
Joe.
It's on
Sounded
brand.
correct.
Then I'll get notes, which then I can also match to what has been shot, so that I'm seeing, and I really do see what's like. It's like, oh, we need the, you know, we kind of need the inflection on this moment because this is how it's being cut. But the first time, I do it before having shot it. So and from what I gather, what you guys have appreciated so much is that like somehow that really works. Somehow.
Well, we need you so we can cut to your voice.
Right.
But it's this weird catch-22 where that means that you're recording it before you see it.
do it.
But we tried the thing where just an editor did temp Joe Goldberg, and it's really not the same. It's pretty incredible how when somebody who's not an actor are reading the lines, I'm like, I'm a terrible writer. And then he'll do it, and I'll be like, I'm a genius.
And it's funny because it
TFI
has
there.
like a Dexter vibe, and you guys actually in season 2 throw out Dexter.
Reference,
so I'm like,
yeah.
he does exist in this world.
Yeah, I've actually wondered about that. How you guys ever draw the line where with cultural references? Because it's so self-referential. I feel like season 3 you're gonna drop a Gossip Girl reference.
Initiating.
That's the one reference where I
You
would
won't,
text
man.
you
Yeah,
first, like,
yeah.
are you okay with this?
But I love that. Was that clearly it was a choice of yours? But how do you decide? Yeah, what references to put in, where you want to place them? Because that was exciting. This season was really fun with the little hints and jokes and.
I like watching shows that give me very specific pop culture references so I can feel kind of inside the same world as the
Right.
show.
intj.
And really the deciding factor was just what would these people be watching? And I think it's a line that 40
crazy. I
says
tried to run
about
from her and
Dexter.
she
And
popped up
40
in this
probably
one, too.
binged that show. High on crack. He probably watched the whole series. And so we just try to be true to the characters. And in LA, everyone has seen everything. They watch TV all day long.
Talking about what other people
That's
doing.
a great transition
SE.
for us too, is going into LA, which was a new set piece this season. How was that for you guys to take the show from New York to? I'm assuming you guys filmed it in LA too.
Yeah, Sarah lives there. I live here in New York, but working there I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed visiting. I lived there as a teenager and really didn't enjoy it. In that unique way, a teenager can really not enjoy something. But I did love it this time around.
It's just fun to go from place to place and be very specific about it. And there's a very specific subculture of New York that the book sends up that then we were sending up. But LA is just so ripe for jokes. We actually had to draw the line sometimes because reality is too broad for the show. it would feel like we were exaggerating if we actually portrayed people the way they are in those grocery stores. So that was what you saw, was the toned down version of how we feel living in LA.
Oh my God, that's toned down.
Reality
I'm a
is
New
always-
Yorker, so like that just was a whole new world for me. I was like, Anderson, what the
Oh, it's
heck is
coming
this
here.
store?
Don't act like it's not coming here.
Initiate.
You think there isn't
You bring green
matcha
juice.
in Soho? Where are we right now? No.
Where are we right now?
Yeah.
But that,
Okay, we're
but
done
it was,
here.
It was a
Penn, Badgley is an ENTP. ENTPs are initiating. If you notice, he's very initiating. 2 different interviews, and he's initiating. He's a TIFE user, which means he has his own internal logical framework, and he cares about actually helping other people. As you could see throughout the interview, compare him to the other lady. I don't know what her name is, but she's coming off like an INTJ. And she, talks about herself a lot, and her achievements and whatnot. As in him, you really didn't see it. It's kind of like, I don't really care. He is informative. This is perfect because you could compare and contrast her language versus his. She was direct, specific, concise, and to the point. And he was informative, very wordy, very vague. Sometimes it's like, what is he really saying? But also he's progression, so he talks about how things move from one sequence to the next. He's systematic, so he understands the system of things, or he tries to do the best possible, best possible way to do something by using systems or whatnot. Surprised he didn't cry about systems, because ENTPs are known to cry about systems like crazy. He's a SINE user, so he talks from a first-person perspective. He talked about any consequences, what other people want, that type of thing. So SINE. He's pragmatic. He talked about freedom earlier, and how giving him the freedom made him happy. Pragmatic people need the freedom. They love that. They love the freedom to be more effective. But also pragmatic people are contrarians, rebellious to a degree. They care about being effective. Personality Database got this one yet again wrong. He is not an INFJ. He's an ENTP. And I'm not sure exactly if but Joe Goldberg in the show is an INTJ or ENTP. I haven't really paid too much attention to it, but he's playing one of those. Sometimes the crazy thing about this is that actors generally will play someone very close to their personality type. As an ENTP, his unconscious would be an INTJ, so maybe that's what's going on. But like we said earlier, we are very thankful for the people that are joining our group. Someone alerted me that the link isn't working, so I'm going to have to put up a new link for that. But it is wonderful. Join our group, self-development. We're all trying to grow. We're going to do the monthly mega live, I think in March, the first Friday of March. So come out and support the Mongolian Mindset, and check out the little chart here, and you can find that he is a ENTP. Get things going. And we're out of here. Have a great day.